Hello and welcome to this screencast on aerobic training. So, looking at the specification, we have done this top bit here with regards to what VO2 max is, how it's affected, how we test it, and then the different training methods to improve our aerobic capacity. Now, today we're going to be looking at the physiological adaptations from doing either a continuous training program or high intensity interval training program. So, it's a typical exam question. Aerobic capacity is an important fitness component for team game players. It evaluates the benefit of different physiological adaptations made by the muscular and metabolic system after a period of aerobic training, worth 4 marks. It could also be a synoptic question up to 20 marks. So, first of all, physiological adaptations, all we need to know really is training for 12 weeks, 3 to 5 times per week will cause significant structural changes to the following. Okay, so the respiratory system, cardiovascular system, the musculoskeletal system, and metabolic activity. So you don't need to really get any of this down. You might want to have a little bit down on this training for 12 weeks and will cause significant structural changes, but you don't need to concentrate or worry too much about that. We are going to start with adaptations to the respiratory system. So we need to get down structural adaptations that take place and the functional effect of these. The first one we're going to talk about is structural adaptations after a 12-week training program. We are going to get stronger respiratory muscles. What does this mean? What is a function of this effect? We're going to have more efficient mechanics of breathing, e.g. an increased tidal volume and minute ventilation. We're essentially getting increased lung capacity with this. Another change we need to be aware of is we get an increased surface area of alveoli, which means we are going to get an increased gaseous exchange. So the overall net effect of this that we need to be aware of, and this stays the same for all of the systems that we're going to be speaking about, is it means it's easier to perform exercise, we get a delay of obla, and also it increases our VO2 max. So this net effect here is what's important. This is how the adaptations impact or affect performance and improve performance. But please make sure you've got corner notes on these here with regards to getting these as your answers. This is the information you need. Okay, so adaptations to the cardiovascular system, structural adaptations, and then the actual effect of them. First of all, cardiac hypertrophy. So this is an increase in the size of the heart, specifically the left ventricle. This means we get an increase in stroke volume, which essentially means we're going to get an increase in cardiac output as well. Increased elasticity of arterial walls, which means we're going to get an increased vasoconstriction and vasodilation to distribute cardiac output, i.e. our vascular shunt is going to become more efficient. An increased blood plasma volume. Okay, so an increased blood plasma volume means you get a decreased blood viscosity. Viscosity is just the thickness and stickiness of blood. So with an increased blood plasma volume, we get a decrease in that, which means we're going to get an increase in venous return and just general kind of like it helps with blood flow. Increased red blood cell production. This means we're going to get an increased oxygen carrying capacity, i.e. because red blood cells hold hemoglobin, which combine to make oxyhemoglobin. And it also means we're going to get increase in gaseous exchange because we're carrying more oxygen within the blood. We're also going to get an increased capillarization around the alveoli and the muscles, specifically slow oxidative muscle fibers here, so type 1. This is also going to mean we're going to get an increase in gaseous exchange. Remember, you might want to kind of like highlight cardiovascular system or underline it. Remember, cardiovascular system is the heart, the blood, and the blood vessels. So when it comes to adaptations that take place due to aerobic training, it is going to impact on our heart, i.e. cardiac hypertrophy, our blood, increase in blood plasma levels, increase in red blood cell production, and capillarization, as well as blood vessels, increased elasticity of arterial walls, and actually blood vessels fits in with capillarization as well. So if we remember cardiovascular system, heart, blood vessels, we're going to be able to get some structural adaptations. What does this mean? What is this whole net effect on performance? Well, we're going to get, or it's going to mean it's easier to perform exercise, we're going to get a delay in obla, and we're going to get an increase in VO2 max. So again, make sure you've got questions on these, make sure you understand these, you're aware of them, because this is what we need to know. Okay, so adaptations to the musculoskeletal system, structural and functional. So structural, we get an increased size and number of mitochondria. This means we're going to get an increased aerobic energy production. Remember, mitochondria is where aerobic energy production takes place. Remember, the Krebs cycle electron transport chain take place in the mitochondria matrix and cristae, i.e. mitochondria, where aerobic energy is produced or takes place. We're going to get an increased myoglobin stores. Okay, so this means increased storage of oxygen and transportation of oxygen to the mitochondria, where aerobic energy production takes place. Increased glycogen and fat stores. So this means we're going to get an increased metabolism of fats, which means we're going to get more energy, because remember, fats produce more energy, 3 times more energy than glycogen. And it means we're also going to get an increase in aerobic energy fuels, because remember, glycogen and fat are used for aerobic energy. Hypertrophy of slow oxidative muscle fibers. This means you're getting an increased potential for aerobic energy production, because remember, slow oxidative muscle fibers have a high density of capillary density. They have high mitochondrial count, high myoglobin stores. Therefore, you get hypertrophy of slow oxidative muscle fibers. We're just going to get an increased potential for aerobic energy production. The net effect of this: easier to perform exercise, delay obla, and increase in VO2 max. Finally, adaptations to the metabolic function. Okay, so structural and functional. We're going to get increased enzyme activity. Remember, enzymes break our fuels down to create energy. We've got more fuel available now for aerobic energy. We've got more glycogen and more fats. Therefore, we're going to need more enzymes. So we get an increase in enzyme activity, which means we're going to increase metabolism of glycogen and fats, which means we're going to get more aerobic energy production, which means we're going to get an increase in VO2 max. We're going to be able to perform easier for longer, and we're going to have a delay in obla. So they are the adaptations that you need to get down. Please make sure you have questions for every single one of them, and we'll hit on the rest in lesson. Thank you. Bye.